Hi, everybody. It's Marjorie Waldo at Arts Garage. I am lucky today to be sitting with Sammy Jo and Jonathan from Honeyvoid. They will be performing here on November 28th at 8 p.m. with a couple of other bands. And we're really excited to have you. Thanks for taking time to meet with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
So I'm digging your story. As I said before we started the interview, I really think it's cool. Your band is a blend. You call yourselves indie rock, and it's a blend of alternative, progressive, and a little bit of punk rock. Those are the main influences that created your sound?
I would say so. I think it's interesting because each of us has such different musical taste. So because of that, when it comes together, it sounds like several different things. For a while, we weren't even sure what to label ourselves, if that makes sense. And then we were just like, you know what, indie's fine, because that could mean, so vague, it could mean a million things, which is what we do. I feel like we combine a bunch of different elements.
Yeah, you're a fusion band. You're fusing all these different genres together. It's really cool. So talk to me about your start with music. You're both very young. Tell me about how old you were when you started, when you, Jonathan, picked up an instrument, or Sammy, when you started singing?
Jonathan, you want to go first?
Sure. So I started playing like bass and some guitar since I was like 13, I guess. They said, well, we already have a guitar player, so pick up a bass and learn how to do it. And so I started playing in like middle school, and then by high school, we would make little projects and play in bars and whoever would have us. So from a young age, I've been, a part of making something,
Who was, if you could name one band or one performer from that point in time when you started that really influenced you and made you want to pick up the guitar in the first place, who was it? You're grinning, so you got somebody.
I got somebody in mind. This guy, Josh Grogan, he plays in a few different bands like The Chariot and Norma Jean. I was just all about that. It's heavier stuff. I loved it. I got to meet him like a year or two ago, which was awesome. But yeah, that's my guy.
There's
That's my
usually
man crush.
somebody. There's usually somebody,
Yeah.
and it might not even be like I did an interview before with someone that said that it was being exposed to all the music that her parents listened to, and it was all these old school. So she's very young, but her musical beginnings were with 60s, 70s performers, like classic rock, songwriters. Really cool. What about you, Sammy Jo?
It's interesting because that's kind of where my inspiration came from. I've been singing since a young age, and it was in large part due to especially my dad's like very eclectic music taste. So I was listening to like a lot of like the Who and the Led Zeppelin and Janis Joplin, and also my favorite, Frank Sinatra. Got to bring him into the mix.
Hey, that's so cool. My audience loves Frank.
I love Frank. He's my favorite. So like I totally relate to that other person you were talking about that you interviewed. Like I love the past. Like it's not that I don't like modern music, because I do, but I feel like most of my influences come from a different time period. So I was singing like at a very young age, but I had the worst stage fright. So I was the type of person that would like sing alone, and if someone caught me, I'd be like, it would freak me out. And I started to kind of get over that in high school. I was a big nerd. I was in marching band, musicals, stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed performing. I just, for whatever reason, kind of put it on the back burner until a couple years ago, and just realized like, why hold myself back? Like, why let fear keep me from doing something that I love? So the first couple performances were very scary for me because that stage fright, came back, and I was just like, oh man, I'm making a huge mistake. But I swear, like as soon as I get up there and open my mouth and start singing, totally fine. Nerves are gone. I feel great. It's just leading up to it. I was a mess for a long time. So I'm glad that I'm finally getting over that fear and chasing after my dreams. It feels good.
A lot of performers have that experience, I think. Depending on the person, it takes a little bit to find your groove and figure out how to be in the moment that you're in while performing and forget about the fact that you're afraid. It's hard. It's hard. And it's really cool that you talk about overcoming your fear, because I think that's the biggest thing for most people in their lives, is not being afraid to try new things or go after what they believe in or are passionate about. I think that's very cool. So you guys started playing together and formed Honeyvoid in 2019, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
To that, how did that happen?
By accident almost. um Sheer luck and fate, I guess I would call it, because Jonathan and I have been friends for a while, and we also knew Ed through mutual friends, and like we just started writing together one day, like just jamming, like not really thinking anything was going to come of it, like, hey, let's try and make a song, or we all like music, maybe we should play together. And then Jonathan's friend Brett, who is our drummer, ended up moving down here, and we were like, well, now we have a drummer, so
no more excuses. There's the band.
Exactly.
You got all the pieces. That's really cool. So I liked this couple of sentences in your marketing doc, and I'm going to read them. You wrote to us that you are your group are self-proclaimed caterers to the clinically depressed. You follow that by saying that your heartfelt lyrics and haunting guitar melodies make the listener feel as though someone understands the struggles that they're facing. And I thought that was really beautiful, because I think music has lots of healing potential and brings people together. So can you talk about that and what you mean by the caterers to the clinically depressed, which I just think is great. I think that's great.
I describe myself as a professional sad boy. So basically for me anyways, like I know music has always been a constant in my life when I'm struggling and going through something difficult. And I am a clinically depressed person. So,
okay.
I write from a place of like my experience and, heartache and feeling alone and all that, and a lot of the struggles I've overcome, I channel into music, because that's what I needed when I was going through hard times, is like when I would listen to a song and hear that hear someone's words, or just even sometimes the words weren't even getting to me, but maybe the guitar was, or something, like something was speaking to something that like was a shared experience. So it was just kind of something that I also want to do. Like I want my music to mean something. I want our music to mean something. And we all just kind of seem to write from, like, even though we write from different genres and we have an eclectic taste, it all transcends, and like it seems like we all kind of write from that place of sadness, if that makes sense. Not always, but it's just something that everybody goes through, so.
Well, I think that universality is important, because I think it brings people together. It makes people feel supported. And often I really admire someone who has a specific struggle, whatever that might be. I was listening to NPR this morning, and there was a band out of Canada, and they're all on the autism spectrum. And they put together a band. I want to learn more about them. I just think it's a really cool thing to identify something that you're struggling with, and to have the strength to use that as a vehicle to make other people who feel very alone feel connected and understand that it's kind of okay, and that there are other people who've been through it, and that you can, I just think that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Music for me is about connection.
Absolutely.
100%.
Right?
Yeah,
I think it really is. So I was going to ask, the last question I was going to ask was, what did you want your audience to take away? But you already said it. You want them to find meaning. You want them to find collective joy, if you will, in the process of listening to your music. You want your music to mean something. Tell us about a specific song you've written recently. Is there anything that came out of the pandemic that struck you?
We've actually been writing a lot since the pandemic. We're working on our first full album. So there's been a lot of cool stuff that's come out of the pandemic. For me personally, though, one of our first batch of songs that we have, called Icarus, is probably the one that I feel connected with the most. just because it is literally about depression. Like the song is about, I mean, it's obviously off of the like it's based off of the mythology or whatever of Icarus, but what for me it's about is someone who is depressed and feels hopeless, and then at the end, when they take flight, like to me that's basically an analogy for committing suicide, which is not something I condone. But I've been there, you know what I mean? Like I've been on the edge like that, and I felt like maybe that was the only way out or the only way to get relief. And I feel like that's also something so important for people to relate to, because mental health, especially after the pandemic, even for me too, like I had to get on medication during the pandemic. I couldn't take it. But a lot of people don't seek out help or therapy, or, they just keep it in, and they, unfortunately, a lot of times we lose them. So that's the song that really means a lot to me. I recently just lost a friend too, and that was his favorite song. So it's like kind of poetic for me. Like we just released a video of us performing that acoustically, and like that song really has a special place in my heart, even more so now. But I mean, the new stuff, like I said, we've really been writing from that place of like feeling stuck, But what about you, Jonathan? Let's give you a give you a chance to talk about one of the songs.
One of my favorite songs,
Yeah, of course.
Delusions of Grandeur.
Okay.
Why? Tell us about it.
Well, I like it for a variety of reasons, but it's one of the heavier songs we play, which is a big reason why I like it. But there's something about like the melodies together that, like she said, like we've been writing some things that like are in association with feeling a little trapped, right? And this one's a little bit older. But it does give me like the sensation of wanting to break out of something, break out of my day or my life or whatever. And every time we play that, I just feel a special connection to it.
It's really cool. I think right now, more than any time in my lifetime, which is long, there is a need for something to make us feel connected and bring us together. So I'm really excited about you coming and performing. Again, your show is on November 28th at 8 p.m. And I just think it's really cool that you're going to be here with us. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for participating in the donated performances during From Our Hearts to Your Homes. Made a difference for our community to be able to have that content coming, even though they couldn't get out, and everybody was really scared, especially at the beginning of this crazy time. So thank you so much, and I cannot wait to see you on the 28th.
It was our pleasure to do the
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
performance. Yeah, we're very excited. We can't wait.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And thanks for today. So I'm gonna say goodbye, and I'll see you soon.
All right, awesome.
Thanks again,
Bye-bye.
Sammy Jo, you and Jonathan. Bye.